Hello, everyone. You are all welcome to another live session. Today is a Q&A. We want to look at some of the questions that might be bothering you. So just join us, and I know you are going to enjoy today's session. Dr. Tell, you are welcome. Gloria, you are welcome. So the first question we are going to be looking at is the effect of overvoting. How is overvoting going to hurt Tinubu? Is it going to affect him in any way? Because we know that there are so many reported cases of overvoting. And like we all know that Peter Obi submitted reports from the BIVAS, certified true copies from the BIVAS. And the BIVAS is just that sole machine for accreditation. And it's also going to help to know areas that this overvoting occurred. So if actually the judges came up with this conclusion that actually they were overvoting in so many places, how is it going to affect the sitting president? Dr. Tell, over to you.
Yeah, the task here is to aggregate the overvoting because each polling unit is a primary source of evidence. It's like I'm getting some echo. Can we mute ourselves to know if it is our microphones?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So each polling unit has a BIVAS machine that is attached to it. And the duty of the BIVAS machine, according to Section 47 of the Electoral Act, is primarily to accredit voters before ballot papers are issued. So, after election, if the results declared for that particular polling unit is greater by the number of people whom the machine accredited in that polling unit, the law specifies that that particular polling unit should be cancelled. Now, you need to read it together, Section 47, Section 60, Section 61, and then Section 64, to be able to see how the whole thing come together to play. I won't read that. Anyone who wants to read that can go read the Electoral Act, these 4 sections that I've mentioned now, or listen to the programs we've done in the past week, because I've taken time to repeat these sections to the extent that almost every Nigerian should know it by now, offhand, what he's talking about. Section 47 talks about accreditation. Section 60 talks about votes. So if what we find in Section 60 exceeds what Section 47 captures, the votes, the result of that particular polling unit will be cancelled. A new election may be called, provided that the outcome of that particular polling unit will impact the total results. Now, we are talking about over 160,000 polling units now. But how do we know? Remember that when a dispute ensues, according to Section 64, the law specifies that the process that the collation officer will use is to look at the physical result under contention, to look at the BIVAS machine that did the accreditation, and then to look at the accreditation detail that had been transmitted from the polling units. And the accreditation detail, and the votes that had also been uploaded and sent to the IRF from the polling units. Now, the whole essence of this reconciliation is to ensure that there was no overvoting, which simply means number of people who cast their vote being greater than the number of people who were credited. One. Or secondly, there was no manipulation of results, wherein someone who may have gotten 17 is now declaring himself to have gotten 170. And then they start arguing at that place. Now, if you remember that Labour Party tendered about 18,000 polling units. These 18,000 polling units, as we have done on this program severally, including yesterday, day before yesterday, there are some polling units where more than 500 people were credited, some 300, some 200. But we said, assuming 100 people is the average number of people for each polling unit, that will give you about 18,000 people who were potentially accredited. And that polling unit they tendered it because they said that the result on IREF were either blurred or mutilated, meaning it's not legible, you can't read it. And even the INEC witness that came, they gave him a copy of such result and he couldn't read anything. So what it means is that Labour Party could press in their final address to challenge the result from that 18,000 polling units. They can comfortably say that there is overvoting there. They can say that, they might even say that there's no overvoting, but they say that their results were completely marked down. The question is, how will INEC defend that what Labour Party is saying is not the truth when there is no gold standard result on IREV to be able to adjudicate in this situation? Because even the physical copy they have, Labour Party will look at it and say it's a lie. It's not our result. You wrote it after the election. Because the one on IREV is now problematic. Remember, I saw in the news yesterday what happened in Kaduna State. In INEC office, it's like in INEC office, Kaduna State Governorship Election Tribunal, they are still thumb printing ballot papers, stamping EC8A form with INEC stamp. Is in our channel, in your channel here, isn't it? So, if that be the case, how can INEC justify that the results they are bringing, that which they say they used to collate, were not results that were written on the 28th of February? When there is no result on IREV that is legible and clear, any other result can be contested, and that will result in cancellation of those polling units. If those polling units are cancelled, maybe for purpose of Labour Party saying there is overvoting there, or the result they declare for that place is not the result we thought we got. What is now going to happen is that the court is going to determine whether the results of the accreditation data for that polling unit, is it greater than the margin of lead between the person declared winner and the first runner-up. And we said that if that 18,000 polling units were to be 100% each, it means that it will give 1.8 million votes, which is greater than the margin of difference between APC and PDP. If it is 150 people, that will give 2.7 million votes, which is greater than the margin of lead between APC and Labour Party. So I see that 18,000 polling unit is going to be a very big hammer that will scatter the table in this judgment. That's number one. Number two is that the mathematician that the Labour Party brought seemed to have done his own collation based on the legible results. And that legible result gave Labour Party a win. So the judges are now in a fix to say, with the legible result we can see, Labour Party is winning. You say that a party is won, and the result that we are contesting, which we can't see, is where he got his winning. So you can't just blindly award him those scores. So overvoting can even be determined where there is a clear printout of the BIVAS record. But what has happened in this particular 18,000 polling unit is that the BIVAS accreditation record will be used to determine the number of votes being contested in that 18,000 polling units. Does that make sense now? And as it were, it won't even be the case of overvoting. It's going to be a complete case of total abuse of the chain of custody and integrity, which will summarily result in cancellation of those polling units. So what the court might do is to say, okay, fine, this 18,000 polling units, we are giving INEC 7 days to go and conduct election in that 18,000 polling units. Because the contestation is based on that particular, if Labour Party writes an address that contests only that, and if the court accepts the other collation they have done, less the polling unit that is under contestation. If the court accepts that result, which might also show that INEC had actually accepted that result, because it is part of the one they have accredited to Labour Party. What they will now do is, okay, this 18,000 polling unit, which has a potential of this number of accreditation, go and do election there again. And from there, they will determine who is the winner. That's one of the options.
Okay, like this one, what you just said now, considering the blood results, this is just for the blood result, but there were areas of overvoting, like in Rivers State, some parts of Bauchi and all that.
Yes.
So
Those areas that were incidents of overvoting, by law, you don't even need to ask what is the remedy. It's cancellation. But then the thing is that when they are done cancelling all of them, the normal thing is that there's going to be a recollation again.
Yeah.
Because now because when we talk about lawful vote does not include anywhere where there is overvoting. And I bet you that when they cancel the overvoting based on BIVAS record being less than the number of votes cast, that is equal to overvoting. The polling unit to be cancelled. The polling unit to be cancelled. By the time they are done doing that, Labour Party will lose some votes because whatever they get from such polling unit will be a loss. But as you can see from what we have done on the IRF, APC is going to lose. They're going to hemorrhage in those places because the numbers that they added to APC in most of those places might actually be what resulted in the overvoting.
Yes. So it's not possible for the judge to ask INEC to go and conduct a fresh election in those areas together with areas where they got those blood results.
They can. Why not? Remember, both PDP and Labour Party raised these issues while INEC chairman was still collating. And he had all the right and the privilege to stop and review those things, but he didn't do them. And he pushed them to
even
court.
promised that he was going to review, but he didn't.
Yes. The court is at liberty, to the best of my knowledge, to give a judgment that will result in rerun of election in areas where there are overvoting, because according to the Electoral Act, if overvoting occurs and the polling unit is cancelled and the result from that place can impact substantially the total result declared, the remedy is to conduct a fresh election there. Do you understand? The only way the court could have said, let's move on, is if the total number of accreditation in that place, if we determine the total number of accreditation and subject it to the total number of votes declared, and the difference is not greater than the winner, the declared winner, and the runner-up, the court will say, after all, even if we carry out this exercise, it will still not change anything. But if it will change something, then they will declare a run in those places. That is, even if they don't say that the whole thing is a mess and cancel the entire election and say the whole 176,000 polling units, let election hold there again, which means everybody lose their vote 100%. But
okay, please, can you just take us through the process of recollation? Assuming INEC is ordered by the court to recollate, what does that entail?
I don't even think it is INEC that will be recollating. Who trusts INEC to recollate now? I think it is going to be the courts that will be recollating, inviting, like they said in Imo State, even though we condemned it, I don't know. I've tried to find the judgment of that Imo State that gave Hope Uzodinma the governorship, but they said that our Supreme Court judges, they became mathematicians because it's like properly what they did was they did a process of recollation. They did a recollation based on the lawful vote cast, meaning they removed every vote that were problematic. After removing all those problematic votes, based on whatever criteria they use, because it is not this electoral act that they use, they now did what? They now did the final recollation. Yes.
So how do we trust our judiciary? Because looking at the Imo State judgment, up to today, many Nigerians are not comfortable with that judgment. So how do we?
I really don't know. I also think that Nigerians were not pretty much aware
of what was going
on. The judges may have done the right thing, but because we heard that, they did some mathematics, everybody started condemning them. I am not in a place here to criticize what they have done or not, okay? But if indeed it resulted in recollation, it means that unlawful votes were removed and any other lawful vote that were not added, and then every party now get a share of the lawful votes. So in this instance, it may be so. The judges are men, they are learned, they will find whichever way, because this time around, there has never been a time collation will go on without the presence of the parties involved, whether it is the INEC or the what do you call it, or the political parties. So the task that this might result, definitely with all this evidence, is going to result in the courts discounting all unlawful votes. The absence of BIVAS record on these 18,000 polling units potentially has made those votes from those polling units to become unlawful. And because the total number is greater than the difference between the winner, the declared winner, and the declared runner-up, the court may likely either, I don't see them throwing away those total number of votes because of the size. What they may do is to declare another election in that place. And then everybody will hold their existing lawful votes and go and fight in that 18,000 polling units for more votes to shore up their own. And if it happens, Labour Party will be in a vantage position. They will be going into that place with a lead. And it's going to be another survival of the fittest. What we should be asking ourselves is, will there be any human being standing? Because what will the touts do? How much hammer, how much machete, and how much gun, and how much intimidation are we going to witness to discourage people? But it will also be in the best interest of even the party in power now, because if they cause mayhem there, the polling unit might equally go and be cancelled again. I mean, the thing is, the judges can clean up our system.
Honestly,
I do strongly
they
believe that
just have to.
one arm of government in Nigeria can clean up the system if there is that determination. The judiciary can clean up the system if they want. The legislature can make a watertight legislation that will box the executive and make it impossible for them to be excessive in whatever they're doing. The executive themselves can pick whatever shoddy job the judiciary may have done and put in good, patriotic input and create something good out of it. The judiciary has enormous power to change a whole lot of things. And I think this time around, they should come through for Nigerians. For Nigerians, for Nigeria, and for themselves. They should come through. I spoke with a friend earlier today, and we were just talking about the stories our grandfather told us about the circle in our electoral process. My own father told me, and I am telling the same story. We have not moved an inch. We have not moved an inch. The judges,
worst.
Yes, it's getting worse. The judiciary can bust us out of that rat race and put Nigeria somewhere. Ask me another question. That's it.
I wanted to ask about this overvoting. Assuming the judiciary, the judges want to look into it, won't they be involving INEC? Like you earlier said that we can't trust INEC. So how is it going to?
But now it's like the INEC Pro Max now is the judiciary. Okay, if you look at it that way, it's like the election collation officer now is the judiciary. INEC is working for them. So I believe it will come out well. It's going to come out well because they will come back to the court. All the parties will come back to the court and say, yes, we agree with the process. If you don't agree with the process, you raise your objections. The court might say, go back again. But all these things is going to be happening sometime around November, because whatever the appeal court decides today is going to be like that until it arrives at the Supreme Court. So we are looking at 7-man. I think the governorship petition tribunal is a 3-man panel. The presidential election petition tribunal, which is appeal court, I think is a 5-man panel. So we are looking at the votes of 3 men to favor us at the appeal court. But whether it favors us or it did not favor us, trust me, to a large extent, is it consequential? What we have seen so far is just preparatory for the Supreme Court. It's like they are doing a document for them to either adopt it or reject it or create a new one. So that they uphold the judgment or they discount the judgment or they go ahead to modify the judgment. So we are thinking of what is going to be happening around November or thereabouts.
Yes.
So whatever judgment that comes from the appeal court is just going to be an abridged part of it. It's not the final.
So talk to us about the judges. Are they under pressure? Because we know the kind of country we have. Our politicians are always so desperate, as in they want to retain that position at all costs, no matter what it will take. So looking at the judiciary, sometimes we keep saying all eyes on the judiciary. But I tell you, for me, I feel that these people are really under very, very serious pressure. Please, can you just throw more light on that?
Every state in Nigeria is equal in their status. All right? But the returning officer of Abia State during the governorship election said she was under pressure. She's a woman, but she stood her ground. Another returning officer in Enugu State said that he did what he was asked to do from Abuja, and he buckled under pressure. You know, that Bible verse that said, if your strength fails you in the day of adversity, how small is your strength? Judges are under pressure all over the world. They know it. They are taught that in the law school, that you will be under pressure from the public. And they have been on the bench for only God knows, for only God knows how, when. From high courts to appeal court to Supreme Court, they are used to pressure. I definitely don't want to succumb to the fact that they will buckle under pressure. They should know the right thing to do and do it. What else are they looking for? At their age, at their height, they have reached the pinnacle of their service. During the time of Jonathan, then I think the president of the High Court, what's the name title they give them? They wanted to promote him to the appeal court or the Supreme Court. You know, there's a time they give you a promotion, they actually weaken you by giving a promotion. And the guy said no. He stood his ground. He said he doesn't want to be promoted. He wants to stay there to see the end of it. So judges, don't come telling us you're under pressure. People are under pressure. People in the movie industry are under pressure. People are under pressure in the banking industry. People are under pressure in any walk of life. There is nothing you do that you're not under pressure. There is no job, no discipline where pressure does not mount. Those in the military are under pressure. Everybody, we are all under pressure. So, but if you buckle under pressure in this kind of time, then you're never well equipped in the first place.
Our politicians.
But I do think that
Go ahead.
yeah. Okay, I wanted to ask, do you think that this pressure is going to in any way affect their judgment? Since
Decision.
they are going to be, their decision, like what they would finally tell Nigerians, that is, if this pressure is going to in any way affect them?
It's all about how each of them may be programmed. That's it. There's nothing that says that you can't come to your room and your conscience will tell you do the right thing. Let's pray that in their bedrooms they're going to have spouses that will be like Pontius Pilate's wife. Remember that
Abigail.
story? The woman came. No, Pontius Pilate. The woman came and said, "Listen, I saw this dream. This guy you want to condemn, he didn't do anything." And the man said, "Please, I don't want to get involved with all this." In fact, when he wrote Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews, the Jews came and said, he said, "No, I'm not going to change what I've written." Meaning, I have written my judgment. This is my verdict, and no amount of pressure is going to make me buckle. I'm just going to let it be like this. Let's pray that God sends them, their grandchild, their children, their spouses, their brothers, including even their village people. Say, "Our son, please, our daughter, please, come back gloriously. Don't allow politicians to use you as dogs." God can throw up anybody at all to go and speak to their hearts in the secret of their secrets.
I was speaking with somebody this evening, and the person was just saying that if our judiciary will stand their ground, that this is their opportunity. I mean, the judges, this is their opportunity to shine. As in, all over the world, people will like, this has never happened in Africa. You can imagine them coming out and, saying it there the way it is, without any, conspiracy. I tell you, Nigerians will celebrate, the entire world will celebrate our judges. But sometimes it's still not that easy. We all saw this the man from Senate that said he somehow influences his wife's decision. Yeah, these are some of the things we are seeing, especially to favor those of them in the APC, not just to favor an ordinary Nigerian, to favor our politicians. So you can imagine the kind of society we found ourselves in. And just
Yeah.
like you said, let it just happen like the Bible case you just referred to, that God will just help the Nigerian people. I mean, the ordinary masses who are really the ones feeling the bite of this hardship in Nigeria and all the
Yeah,
insecurity that is there, all the odd things happening in Nigeria. It's the ordinary man that feels it the most.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
also want to, okay, sorry, I have a question again here. I wanted to talk about the Supreme Court. You made mention that this case is not going to end at the election tribunal, that definitely it will be moved over to the Supreme Court. Please, can you just like give us a sort of stipulation on what the election tribunal is going to like come up with that will warrant going to the Supreme Court?
No matter whatever they come up with, will end up in Supreme Court. The way to look at it from the psychological point of view, if you are the sitting president and for whatever reason the judgment came and say that it did not favor you, would you not say, is there anything I could do? Can I go another place? Supreme Court. If you are Peter Obi, Labour Party, with all the evidence you have provided, and court comes out with any reason whatsoever, all of us are going to be screaming, what are they doing? Are they in Supreme Court already? That settles it. No matter how the judgment comes out, the Supreme Court must hear it. It's like two children trying to settle a dispute, and they know that their mom is in the room or their parents are in the room. Because one person, and this dispute, one person would definitely stand to lose. If their elder brother or their elder sister settles that dispute for them, there will always be that feeling that until mommy endorses it or daddy, no, something could be better. And even when they get there, if the mommy or the daddy or their parents upholds the decision of the older sibling that tried to settle the dispute or change it, everybody will say, okay, that's not a place to go. In fact, if you can reappeal what the Supreme Court judgment will be, I tell you that somebody is getting ready to appeal the Supreme Court judgment. That's it.
So no matter what, we are heading to the Supreme Court.
No, we are waiting for Supreme Court judgment. That's it. We are waiting for Supreme Court judgment. Just that's all. But what we are saying is, how is the appeal court going to come with their judgment? Will the appeal court come with a judgment that will make Nigerians say, what? Are these people this compromised? Or will they say, yes, we knew it was going to be like this? So that when it gets to the Supreme Court, everybody will say, Supreme Court, better don't allow yourself to be carried away. This thing that the appeal court said, that is what we know.
Mm-hmm.
That is where the judgment of the appeal court is important. Is it going to come out biased, or is it going to come out in a way that will make people believe that justice is done? If they feel that justice was not done in their case, it's going to be a high demoralization even before it goes to Supreme Court. Because the analyzing of evidence, comparing of evidence, drawing conclusion will come from the appeal court. The Supreme Court is going to go through it again and say, we disagree with you people on this. We disagree. It's now going, Supreme Court is basically them and the appeal court judgment. Because it's not going to come to the Supreme Court to tender fresh evidence.
Oh.
No. You're not coming there to tender fresh evidence. You are appealing whatever. You could refer to the evidence you had tendered, which was captured by the appeal court, and tell the Supreme Court that they did not do justice to that evidence. And the Supreme Court can say, okay, let's open it and see what you say you had. Oh, based on really what you have, the Supreme Court erred. I'm sorry, the appeal court erred. Or they will say, yes, the evidence you refer to, we have looked at it and we are comfortable with what appeal court did. We are comfortable with them.
So for the benefit of our viewers, can you just quickly take us through Mr. Peter Obi's prayers? What are those things before the tribunal?
I think I may just need to refer them to yesterday. Peter Obi basically prayed for two things about the substantial lack of substantial compliance with the Electoral Act, which they are saying is either the election is declared in his favor, or if they think that the mutilation and the abuse by INEC is something to uphold, then they should cancel the election. Thirdly, they also said that the candidate of APC did not get 25% in FCT, so he is not qualified to be declared president. And what Constitution said about that should be applicable, meaning even if the result declared for APC were to be taken, the law stipulates who will be selected to go back for a second ballot. They also raised prayers of forfeiture in criminal forfeiture in US, $460,000, which, if the court upholds it, automatically disqualifies the APC and their candidate. But if that happens, that does not give Peter Obi automatic ticket. There has to be a recollation of results, a recalculation of results to prove that indeed he has a greater number of votes either way. So, and yesterday we took time to break down every prayer that Peter Obi made and Labour Party, the section of the law that they were relying on. We also mentioned I love the program of yesterday because we took time to explain how empty the defense of APC were in the course of this appeal court. For instance, they are trying to bring academic record of their candidate to say he attended this school. That is immaterial as long as this is concerned, because nobody's contesting whether he went to school or he didn't go to school. They are saying that the copy of the certificate submitted is not a copy issued by the university. He may have attended the university, but the copy he submitted is not the one issued by the university. For instance, if the university types your name as John Michael John, and you get a certificate that is written John M. John, that's alteration. That is falsification from the judgment we've had in Nigeria. So those are the kind of prayers they made, and each one of them had a remedy. What the court says, what the Constitution and the Electoral Act says must happen to such a person. So that is it.
Okay. Julia, do you have any question for Dr. Peter to go through?
Okay, sir. In the case of certificates forgery, that's for people that have not followed up before now. What if the president comes out to say that this was not for?
This was not.
And he has his evidence, maybe the receipts that he has paid and everything, and he's just saying that I actually got this thing, I ordered for my certificate and it came from the school to me. So I don't know where the challenge is coming from. But the school is still saying that okay, they didn't issue the certificate with him. In that case, that he's not aware of the fact that this was not coming from the school, will he be pardoned?
Yes, if indeed genuinely and innocently he's not aware,
He had no
That
idea. He had no
yes,
idea.
he has no idea that he fell into the hand of the Yahoo boys. You know, we discussed it, I think, on Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
That will save him from the Attorney General of the Federation from charging him for perjury and falsification. But that will
Okay.
not make him to occupy the office. What he will suffer for having, I think we did the explanation yesterday. You have some naira in your pocket. You know how costly it is now in Nigeria. So you have some money and you find yourself in, CMS area where they change money in Lagos. And someone said that he can change money for you and really gave you copies of dollars or pounds sterling, only for you to realize later that what you have in your pocket is fake dollars. Fake dollars. Innocently, you have paid for fake dollars. You know, it's against the law to carry fake currency, counterfeit.
Yeah.
It's against the law, so you can be charged for that. But if you are able to prove your case beyond reasonable doubt that genuinely you have this and that you are deceived, you will save yourself the punishment of the offense of carrying counterfeit. But will it return the money you lost in your pocket?
No.
That's it.
Okay.
The law does not give provision. In fact, in the judgment that the appeal court had given in 2019, in the case of ANPP versus APC, they specifically said it there that you don't necessarily need to be the person who forged the document. So far as the document is forged, you are going for it.
Wow.
And you don't need to necessarily create an entirely new document. It can be an alteration of an existing document, which in this one looks like it's alteration because the logo is different and the signatures were 3 instead of 2 based on what the university released. So that seems like altering an existing document.
And the gender too.
I've told us, let's just accept that gender is a typo error. Forget it. Let's move on. It is immaterial in the final analysis. What matters is that particular certificate.
Yeah.
Okay, that gender does not have any effect.
Did he submit that document to INEC? Did he submit the record of the school where the gender appeared as female to INEC? No.
Okay.
What is under contestation here is the document submitted to INEC. The other one is just to make your case smooth when you're arguing it. But look, the so-called document that carries female is coming to prove that probably he did not go to the university. To me, it is immaterial. The person could have gone to the university. The person could have graduated as the best graduating student. The person could have, if you go to the University Hall of Fame, you could have seen the person's pictures with the other students receiving an award. But we are saying that for some reason, the certificate in his hand metamorphosed to change the characters and the number of signatures. That's what we're talking here. There's no need. Simply, all the other cases is immaterial. Just like we talked about the dual citizenship yesterday. We did say that if you are a citizen of Nigeria by birth, you could have a dual citizenship of another country and you can aspire to any of these. Okay? However, the case here is that in the Form EC9 of INEC, where somebody is supposed to tick, yes, I have for some time ago taken up citizenship of another country. He ticked no. That's the penalty. The whole charge is you ticked no where you're supposed to tick yes. And you did it under oath. That's all. That's the case. So you can see, you can filter this. That's why I said that this thing is as straightforward as anything.
Okay, doctor, there were these 3 witnesses for me that stood out. I wanted you to say something about their testimony, what they said. Like,
I can still feel some echo in my ears.
nothing is coming from my end.
Okay, it's better now.
Okay. So I was talking about the Labour Party witnesses. There were these three witnesses that came to the election tribunal to testify, like the professor who tried to analyze Peter Obi's votes.
Mhm.
So this is one of the evidence for the election tribunal. Can you just tell us the peculiarity of that report? And also, we had this cyber security expert. When he testified, it was really, epic. I just
I think the cybersecurity expert was for PDP.
okay.
But you do know that, like we said, most of the things PDP is doing is good. It's going to pay off
Yeah.
for Labour Party. All right. But the mathematician, basically, it's like what he did was that he simply just did the recollation for Labour Party.
Is it for all the states, or he just
Yes.
selected few states?
Basically, the states where they have interest. They have the liberty for all the states, but there are states where they're contesting the vote, the result of that state. Like PDP told us that in their situation room, they know that Labour Party got 900. How come it is for 500? So they contested Lagos.
That's for Lagos. Mm-hmm.
They contested, even though Labour Party won in Edo State, but they contested it. They contested Rivers State, Lagos State, Bauchi State. They contested. So it's like they did a recollation. That was how he found out, and he did that recollation following the rule. By that, I mean following what he could see on IREV and what he could have physically. And thereby, that was how he arrived at 18,000 units, polling units, where he can't do anything because it is not available on IREV, which the court, under law, should follow suit in their own recollation. There is no way, I don't think the judges has any power whatsoever to arbitrarily declare that any result announced, which is not clear, available on IREV, should be recognized. Because the IREV copy is the principal copy under which other results being contested can be compared with. So I think that's what he did and came up with his number. So it's a very significant. In fact, we started with 18,000 polling units. It is his work that revealed it. And that 18,000 polling units cuts across Nigeria. It is his work. We wouldn't have been singing this because nobody has sat down to be able to collate the 176,000 and say, oh, and I'm sure he's going to break it down state by state. In this state, this polling unit and this number, no result, no result, no result.
I also wanted to talk about this. There was this lady who is well knowledgeable as regards to Amazon AWS. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she came with a report to say that their system was held. I think they called it a health report, something like that. I can't remember. But Festus Okoye, Mr. Festus Okoye has always come out to tell us that there was a glitch, and it's left for their technical or their IT team to explain to the Nigerian people that he doesn't know what the glitch is all about. But their tech people will tell Nigerians. So please just throw more light, especially on what the report that this lady brought.
Okay. The report, there are two interfaces to look at. If you're using iPhone, which makes use of iOS, or Android-powered phone like Samsung. Samsung or Apple is trying to say everything with our network is perfect. But if your child mistakenly turn your phone to flight mode, do you blame Apple for that?
No.
You can't. If someone mistakenly, let me tell you something. Okay, because it's a family thing, I'm not going to be on air, but if someone who knows your password, mistakenly change your password, will you still access your phone?
No.
So what the lady came to say is that as long as the side of Amazon is concerned, the health report is clean. Do you actually think that there was a problem with Amazon and now you didn't see it in the court, Amazon saying this is the problem we had? And the deputy director of ICT was in the witness box. Did he talk about the glitch?
No.
He was simply talking about collation without IREV, without telling us why the so-called IREV did not work. Banks in Nigeria are tough. Sometimes you're going into your account in banks in Nigeria, you click your password and it didn't go. If you refresh it generates a new set of password. At any point in time you want to go in, a new set of password is generated. Where 2 used to be won't be where it is. Your password is still what it might be, but then the position of 2 will change. Something like that. If someone in INEC had programmed the password of the BIVAS to be changing every 30 minutes, don't you think that the one giving to the presiding officers, that by the time they want to upload, that their password may have been compromised? Because the person who is in the master control room has authorized that BIVAS to change that password. So the one you are giving will not work because the password is changing. And then they refuse to release those BIVAS for the forensic experts to look at that physical equipment and tell them what they did. So, I'm just reading what people are written here. Someone says, it's our judges. How safe are our judges? Well, they are safe. I believe they are safe. I believe that Nigerians are more than capable to protect those judges, more than the people they think are protecting them today. Because the people they think are protecting them today are actually people who know how to dispense of you when they're done using you. I believe so. When they are done exploiting you, they dump you, they move on because they are very selfish people. But Nigerians will rally around them. Look at that woman, the woman that handled Abia State governorship election. She's back to her university. In fact, she got a lot of gift from the people. She's a happy woman, and her conscience is clear. She goes to bed and wake up and feel like I've done what my spirit permits me to do.
I think there's this background noise. I don't know what's going on.
Yes.
So I wanted to say that I will suggest our attitude towards the judges, changes a little bit, because we see them as, let's say, enemy. When we say all eyes on the judiciary, I think they rather need our support. I don't know if you are getting me.
Yeah. You notice that on this space, just mute yourself whilst I'm talking. Maybe see how it goes. Yes, I think it's better now. I can't hear anything. But can you hear me? Just wave your hand if you can hear me. Excellent. Good. So when you want to talk, you can now unmute yourself. The thing is this. If you remember that in this space, I keep saying they have a lot, that I feel for those men, those judges, because they have a lot of work to deal with. And you also heard me say we should pray for them. But the truth of the matter is that there is nothing you do that you're not under pressure. There is no honorable thing you do that does not come with pressure, because there will always be evil forces trying to push you and make sure that you don't achieve that purpose. The judges are not our enemy. The fate of Nigeria is in their hand. You remember what I said here too, that one leg of our government system, either the judiciary or the executive or the legislature, can clean up Nigeria. It's all about the patriotic approach to it. I believe that those men and women, for them to have come this far, God has helped them, but we need to keep praying for them. But they need to know, as we keep saying, that does not mean that we will not remind them that the fate of Nigeria is in their hand. And remember again, as I said yesterday, the total number of people who came out to cast the vote is what you call a representative case of Nigeria. They represented the whole Nigeria. And it's only 1/3 of that representative case that was declared, that vote, according to INEC declaration, that voted for the party that was declared. So what it means is that only 1/3 of Nigeria elected the president. 2/3 are grumbling and are unhappy. It's important that the judges remember that. I am not saying that they should cast the other party away because they are 1/3, so to say. But they should look critically at the evidence that is presented before them. Do constitutional justice and social justice. These two things are important. Don't just declare by your verdict what you call justice, but let people feel and see it as justice. What happened in the case of the former Senate president, people did not see it as justice. People saw it as a manipulation, because the judges themselves degenerated to using technicalities to explain what Nigerians thought was obvious fact, the method through which they presented their case. But that does not deny that there's a substance in the case they brought to the court. It's like trying to say that this beautiful soup, that you're not going to eat it because it is served with a metal plate instead of China plate, instead of China. The soup is the soup. The ingredients and everything is still there. So that is it. Can I ask another question now? I can't hear you. It's like you're on mute.
I want to say that now that the Nigerian people cannot really trust INEC, and looking at our security agencies, we cannot really trust them. Assuming the court nullifies this election, what do you think the Nigerian people should do? Should we embrace a fresh election being conducted?
I don't even know the possibility of a fresh election by reason of the law. The only condition by which a fresh election will be declared is if the court uphold that for the fact that the result were not uploaded on the day of election, the whole election stands nullified based on section 47, where it says transmitted from the polling unit. If the court said because it was not the IREV, the results were not transmitted from the polling unit, and because of them, the whole election is annulled, that is when we are going for general election. But aside from that, it might be a partial election that will affect, that is, we have now accepted that the upload happened a day after. However, the result in itself, we are blood, we are mutilated, or we have found out that the BIVAS record shows overvoting. And because the total number of all these problematic votes put together is greater than the difference between the declared winner and runner-up, the court can now declare a supplementary election in those affected pools. That's the way I'm reading it. I may be wrong, but that's my guess.
I always forget to unmute myself. So I think we've taken enough questions for today. Maybe some of that time we want to continue, but for today, let's call it a day. Dr. Tel, thank you so much for your time. Gloria, thank you for joining us. And our viewers, we appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
We hope you also join us tomorrow. Thank you. I don't know, this thing keeps echoing. I can't really. So thank you all for joining us. Bye. See you tomorrow.